But what Barack did was he took those values and put them into action, always trying to figure out how to live those values. See, because when you were raised like us, watching your parents and grandparents sacrifice for you, you know that you're blessed. And you know that to whom much is given, much is expected. So you don't sit on your blessings. So what does Barack do? The first major decision he had to make in his life after college: do I go to Wall Street and make money, or do I work for the people? Barack worked as a community organizer in some of the toughest neighborhoods on the south side of Chicago, helping young mothers find their voice and their power, folks who had a reason to be cynical because government had forgotten them long ago. There is no one else in this race who can claim that kind of commitment to people on the ground. No one. And I would think as a nation like ours, we would demand that kind of engagement before you could even consider wanting to be president of the United States. But it doesn't stop there. Barack's a lawyer, I'm a lawyer, probably everybody in this auditorium's a lawyer, too many lawyers. And many of the lawyers in this race made their millions before they decided to help the people, not Barack. Not because he couldn't, because Barack was the first African-American president of the Harvard Law Review. No one else can claim that distinction. No one else can. You talk about raising the bar. Set the bar, Barack leaped over the bar. But what did he do with those skills? He didn't sell them to the highest bidder. He became a constitutional law scholar, a civil rights attorney in a small firm. Why? Because to whom much is given, much is expected. And when you are given the gift of advocacy, you give it to the least of these. Barack goes into politics not to amass power. Barack is not naive. When you worked on the streets and you worked in the halls of justice, you know you can't just make change with hope. You've got to be able to affect the powers that be. So he goes into the Illinois State Senate for 8 years. No other candidate in this race can claim that amount of years at the state legislative level. And wouldn't it be nice to have a president who understood how federal law impacts local government? And let me tell you something, just wasn't in any state. It was in Illinois, some of the meanest, toughest politics. We live in Chicago, people. Don't worry about whether Barack is tough enough to handle the Republicans. We have seen it all. And in that climate of challenge, Barack brought his values to the table and was able to get things done, like expanding health care for kids in our state, passing ethics reform in a state that hadn't seen it in more than 25 years, working on racial profiling, helping to mend a broken death penalty system that sent dozens of innocent men to death row. See, these aren't issues you take on because you're trying to curry favor. These are issues you take on because you're trying to work for change. Barack is one of the most respected politicians in the state of Illinois because of his values. And if you want to know how values and judgment and courage affects decisions, we need only look at the war in Iraq. And I will never let anybody forget that, because that was an instance where all the years of Washington insider conventional thinking didn't get us to the right answer. We had people marching us into this war, and the only person who stood out and said that this war was wrong is Barack Obama. Now, what his opponents will say is that Barack didn't have to take a vote, but what they won't tell you is that Barack wasn't voting because he was in the midst of trying to get to the U.S. Senate. When he spoke out, he was in the midst of his own tough U.S. Senate primary, a race that he wasn't supposed to win. Because you know what they were saying about Barack in Illinois? Mean, tough Illinois. They said he was too young. They said that he was too inexperienced. They said he should wait his turn. They said he couldn't raise the money. They said he couldn't build the political organization to match an Illinois family that had been running for years. Does this sound familiar? They said They said he was too black. They said that he wasn't black enough. And then when all that didn't work, they threw in a fear bomb and they said his name is funny, and there's no way that white folks in downstate Illinois will vote for a man named Barack Obama. So let me tell you some people, if Barack doesn't look upset when he's getting slung with those mud pies, it's because he's heard it all before. See, one thing we have learned is that when power is confronted with real change, they will say anything. But even in that climate, Barack stood tall and he said, let me try telling people what I think. And he said publicly, this war is wrong. It's going to cost us millions of dollars and thousands of lives. And the beauty of that is that he still won his U.S. Senate seat by wide margins. He won among blacks and whites and women and men, upstate, downstate, progressives. Because you see, the truth is, America can handle the truth. But sometimes we don't know what the truth looks like because we haven't seen it in such a long time. So, the question in this race is not whether Barack Obama is ready. That is the game of politics. Barack, as Oprah said, is one of the most brilliant men you will meet in our lifetime. Barack is more than ready. He'll be ready today. He'll be ready on day one. He'll be ready in a year from now, 5 years from now. He is ready. That is not the question. The question is, what are we ready for? Wait. Because we say we're ready for change. We say we're ready for change, but see, change is hard. Change will always be hard, and it doesn't happen from the top down. We do not get universal health care. We don't get better schools because somebody else is in the White House. We get change because folks from the grassroots up decide they are sick and tired of other people telling them how their lives will be. When they decide to roll up their sleeves and work. And Barack Obama will require you to work. He is going to demand that you shed your cynicism, that you put down your division, that you come out of your isolation, that you move out of your comfort zones, that you push yourselves to be better, and that you engage. But we'll never allow you to go back to your lives as usual. Uninvolved, uninformed. You have to stay at the seat of the table of democracy with a man like Barack Obama. Not just on Tuesday, but in a year from now, in 4 years from now, in 8 years from now, you will have to be engaged.